Welcome to Zoom at 8. My name is Julianne Peterson, and I am your host every Tuesday night. Everybody should say that with me. Every Tuesday night.
Every night.
There you go. We've been doing this, for 7 years. How did we get here? 7 years. Mark you can see his butt mark in his cheek in his chair because he's been here every Tuesday night for all 7 years. So, and Ray is right there behind him. So I want to welcome everybody to tonight's event. Remember, we network and learn with industry experts. Tonight's going to be like no other. We've got Zach Branson here with Cosign. We're going to learn all about his product, how to get more people in the door, because God only knows. It is tough to afford to get into these rentals, right? And people are losing their jobs. We got to find ways. And so Zach's going to unlock some ways to look at the deal, look at these people a little bit differently. All right. In the meantime, I am your lender of choice. That's what I like to call myself, Julie with Old Capital Lending. We have been in business for 38 years. I myself have been owning and operating for 36 years. Okay. And it is tough out there, my friends. It is not easy, but you're in it at a right time in the cycle. It's really the time to be looking at deals, understanding deals. How are people looking at deals? How can you improve them? I would say I would be very careful with giving much rent growth in today's market. Maybe 1 year, maybe 2. Okay. So if you're looking at a deal, I'd love the opportunity to underwrite it for you. I am going to ask that you check in with an insurance broker, a property manager, and a taxing assessor's office, right? Get those numbers because those are really what are going to change. Not your contract services, your marketing, R&M. We've got these 3 that need to be qualified and may blow up the deal. So let's get that. Send over the T12 rent roll, your underwriting, and if there's an OM, offering memorandum, send that to. We will take a look and see what it really looks like based on the financials. Okay. By the way, we now know that Fannie or Freddie is changing the terms of their short or their small balance. Now, where is it? It's around here someplace. The small balance program is changing May 1st. Okay, so be aware 30 units or less are going to take on a 10% vacancy. That is significant. These are $2 million loans to 10 million. So you have 1 million to 6 million on Fannie, and you have 2 to 10 on Freddie conventional small. So I can unpack that for you at another time. We did talk about it last week, but I think it's important you understand that this is changing. We need people that can close these loans. They're putting you through more and more underwriting due diligence. So make sure your team is nice and tight. You know where your net worth and your liquidity, how much money you're going to need to capital raise, because it is tough. All right, let's get on with the show. All right, so tonight, our industry expert is Zach Branson. Zach, I met him a couple months ago at the BEC. Really great guy. He is a lead strategic partner. He leads strategic partnerships with Cosign. Cosign is the company helping multifamily owners and operators turn more of their denied applicants into approved residents without changing their leasing process. By stepping in as a lease guarantor, Cosign removes the risk from saying yes, so we can get more people into our properties. Zach spends most of his time working directly with owners and operators to boost occupancy. This is what we need, and to reduce bad debt. This is what is killing deals. So we need to have Zach in our back pocket. You never know who's going to help you. So he's going to help us understand what this product is and how it can help us. But listen, outside of work, Zach loves to run every day and is big into hot yoga. My gosh. He and his lady are expecting their first baby very soon, lives in paradise of Santa Barbara, and he's either outdoor hiking at the beach, snowboarding, riding his motorcycle, or hanging out with friends like you with his dog, Luna, a husky named Luna. All right. So welcome to Zoom at 8. Zach, how are you?
Doing great, Julian. I'm very grateful to be here, and thanks everyone for joining. I don't know if I'll be able to follow you up with your energy. You have amazing energy. But yeah, I'm very excited to be here and speak with you guys. Let me get my screen shared up here so we're all good to go.
Yes. And while you're doing that, if you guys would be so kind, I think if you go up to the right-hand side, you can see some squares. Go over there and put speaker view or standard view so you can give all your attention to our presentation tonight. And then if you have questions, put them in the chat. I will interrupt. I'm known for
Perfect.
that, interrupting, and we'll get you the answer. So Zach, you're on.
Perfect. Well, thanks for having me, Julie. You guys can see my screen, okay, right?
Yes.
Cool. Awesome. Says cosign Zach Branson. We're good to go. Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks again, Julie. I'm really grateful to be here and really excited to connect with you guys. I will probably spend, most of the time today just walking you through a little bit about Cosign and how we help boost occupancy and conversions at no cost while also putting some money back in your guys' pockets. I'll start with a quick intro on myself, and I won't spend too much time here. I know no one loves listening to people talk about themselves, myself included. So I promise I'll be brief. Like Julie mentioned, I am out in Santa Barbara, California. Expecting my first baby boy in October. I'm beyond excited. So very, very excited about that. I started out my career right after college at Yardi. I was on the marketing and events side of things. Quickly realized that was not for me. And somehow I stumbled my way into sales. That's where I met my mentor. Shout out Brandon Castro. He really just taught me everything I know about sales. And then from there, from Yardi, he had brought me over to Flex Rent, which I'm not sure if folks are familiar with them, but spent 4.5 years there. During that time, I was lucky enough to be part of a team that went and grew from 0 to 8 million units in just 4 years on the multifamily side of things, and then joined Cosign about 6 months ago. So I've been in the industry for about 10 years. But that's enough about me. We can get it started and go over the agenda for today. So I thought it might be fruitful to talk about. Started off talking about like, hey, what am I hearing on calls from operators that I'm talking with every week? Dive into how Cosign was born, who we work with, and then touch on, what is Cosign from a high level, the type of applicants that we help, how we help owners and operators specifically, and then touch on pricing, coverage, support and marketing, and then getting started with Cosign. And then at the very end, we'll jump into our portal to show you how easy it is to refer an applicant and file claim. Uh, cool. So to get it started, what I'm hearing from operators today. So there's really two things that come up on almost every single call I'm on. One is that traffic is there, but conversions just aren't converting like they used to be. And two is fraud. I don't have a solution directly for fraud. I have some thoughts on why it's happening. But where we really help and where I'm a little bit more knowledgeable is on the conversion side of things. So starting out with the conversion side of things, if you look at it today, the national average approval rate for applicants is around 60%, meaning almost half of the applicants that are walking through your door today that you paid money to attract, you spent time running tours, are just getting denied and just basically sent into the abyss, playing that application roulette. And I think most operators' first thoughts, at least folks that I've spoken with, is, hey, we need more traffic. We need to spend more money on apartments.com marketing. We need to offer more concessions. We need to, push the team to work harder, longer hours. But in reality, it's not a traffic issue. It's really a conversion issue. And that's where Cosign fits in. And we'll get to that in just a bit. And then more so on the fraud, just more like quick thoughts here. I'm not an expert in that by any means. These are just my own thoughts, but I think AI is definitely making it easier than ever to fake documents. You've got people online teaching others how to game the system on TikTok, or even doing it for them, like paying them to do it to commit fraud to get into these apartments. You have the dark web. So those are just like a couple of things that are very prevalent and that I hear literally on almost every call. So I'd be curious, like afterwards, to hear what you guys are seeing out there as well, and if those are things that you guys are running into. Um, so switching gears a little bit on a little bit about Cosign before we really dive in. Cosign was born out of Eastman Residential. We were built by operators for operators, not in some finance lab, if you will. And our CEO and a fearless leader, Zach number one, right here on the screen, he owns about 3,500 units on the residential side. He used all the guarantor products out there and really couldn't just find one that checked all the boxes, meaning either they weren't backed by insurance, they were letting the bad apples in with no exclusions, or just simply weren't converting due to their pricing being too high because of how they underwrite. And so that's really how Cosign was born. So 2 years ago, we were born out of Eastman Residential, and today we're in over 400,000 units nationwide. We work with a number of top 50 NMHC operators all the way down to your mom and pops. And then just a fun fact here, I'm sure you guys are like, why is Mark Cuban on your screen? Like, what in the world? Fun fact, Mark Cuban is one of our main investors and one of the early investors in Cosign. No, we were not on Shark Tank. That's usually the follow-up question that I get from that, even though it would be really cool if we were. I've been watching that show since I was a little kid. But nonetheless, that's just like a little bit about who we are, who we work with. And so we'll transition a little bit into how this actually works in practice. So what is Cosign and how do we work? I guess the dictionary definition, what you'll probably see on our website, is Cosign is a third-party guarantor that expands your property's renter pools. It speeds up lease ups, increases occupancy, and really just boosts NOI while broadening housing options for renters. I think a better way to say it is just like simply put, we help boost occupancy by converting denied applicants who are thin on income, maybe thin on credit, no credit, maybe a checkered rental history, into signed leases. And then we'll back that lease so you guys are fully protected. If they skip, if they default, they get evicted, whatever the case may be, we're going to cover any unpaid rent, any damages, legal fees, and time to relet the unit. I think it's important to note we're fully backed by insurance, so there's really no added risk on your side, and everything runs through our portal where you can refer applicants, you can track approvals, conversions, and submit claims. We'll dive in at the very end to give you a visualization of that, of like how that works and how easy it is. But really, to back it up a little bit, our theory was, hey, credit score is a bad and lagging indicator. It tells you who someone was 3, 4 years ago, not who they are today. It's a very antiquated way to underwrite someone. So instead, we built our own dynamic risk model where we underwrite based on recent payment behavior as opposed to just credit score, which is a better indicator of what makes a quality resident and really just tells us one of two things. Can this person pay rent, and can they continue to pay rent? And I think we do a pretty darn good job of it, considering we have just a touch above a 5% default rate, meaning 95 out of the 100 applicants that we place are paying residents and will continue to pay rent. And this deeper look basically allows us to approve 90% of applicants, denied applicants that are sent to us with some exclusions. and about 50% of those actually convert into signed leases. So you're getting more approvals, you're getting more leases without taking on the risk. And really just to put that into context, I guess, and like illustrate that, here's what your, I guess, current process probably looks like today. Maybe that's somewhere like a 3 times income and a 550 credit score. And this is what it looks like with Cosign. So you can really just think of us as an added layer around your existing approval criteria that helps catch those borderline applicants that you can't approve on paper today. It's fully customizable for the operator. We can go down to 2 times income, no credit. And then in terms of the type of applicants we work with, I think it's a little easier actually to start with who we don't work with first. So what you're seeing here right here on the screen, these blue dots, those are your guys' approved applicants. We don't touch those. You guys keep doing what you're doing there. These red dots are our exclusions. So our no-goes. Anyone in active bankruptcy, more than one eviction in the past 3 years, or doesn't pass a criminal screening, take those folks off the table. And that leaves these green dots here. Those are those borderline applicants. Basically, anyone that meets the set income to rent ratio that you guys pick, regardless of their credit score, you send them to Cosign. We'll screen them, and about 90% of the time, we'll approve them. And it turns into an extra lease you otherwise wouldn't have. And I guess just to like humanize this a bit, here on the screen are some examples of the type of applicants that we help. I won't go line by line reading all of them, but these are essentially people who can afford rent. They just don't check every box on paper. The big picture here, I guess, is we help expand housing options for renters and give them access to housing they otherwise wouldn't have. Now, I guess getting into more of the fun part for you guys. How do we actually help operators? So at a high level, we're essentially a free boost in occupancy in conversion rate. On average, we are seeing anywhere from 2 to 4 extra leases per property each month from existing traffic they're having to deny today. Usually translates into about a 2 to 6% lift in occupancy within just 6 months. And then I have a couple of success stories from a couple partners of mine to kind of put some numbers behind this. So the first one, SoCal Pacific, over the last 6 months of our partnership, they've increased occupancy just over 4.5% across their portfolio by converting 250 plus applicants who would normally fall out of the approval bucket. And that's turned into just north of $4.5 million in additional annualized rental revenue. Pretty crazy. We have a lot of success stories like that, but that was just one close to me that is just really cool to hear. And then Stan Residential, this one's just more of a fun one. They hit 95% occupancy and got stabilized for the first time ever. And so they threw a party for the team. That was just more of a fun one. I thought that was really cool. And then on conversion rates, so we see about a 9% lift on conversion rates. And I'll give you like a quick example for this to kind of paint a picture. So let's take 100 applicants, for example. 60 of those, like we mentioned earlier, the average approval rate would be approved by you guys. So take those off the table. We have 40 left. 20 of those would fall into our exclusions category, which I mentioned earlier. Take those off the table. Now we have about 20 left. And on average, we'd approve about 18 of those and expect half to convert into signed leases. So an extra 8 to 9 leases. And then on top of that, we send back a 10% revenue share each quarter from the one-time upfront fee that we generate from applicants. There's no cost to operators. There's no minimums, completely free. And basically the big picture here is just like more leases, higher occupancy, more revenue, all from traffic that you guys are already paying to attract and deny today. And then in terms of, I guess before we jump into the portal, I want to touch on pricing, how that works, and coverage options. And then we'll touch on support marketing and how easy it is to get started. But essentially, we offer different coverage options that range anywhere from 3 months of unpaid rent to 12 months of unpaid rent. It's selected by the operator at the property level and based on your average eviction timeline. So our in-house recommendation is take your average eviction timeline, add a month, and round up to our nearest coverage option. And then coverage determines pricing for applicants. So rule of thumb here is the higher the coverage, the higher the price of uh, the higher it will be for applicants. And then just for example's sake, I have 6 months of unpaid rent pricing on the screen. About 85% of our business runs on 6X coverage, but it's a one-time upfront fee paid by the applicant that can range anywhere from 40% to 110% of 1 month's rent, with the average being around 78%. And I think it's important to note there's no cost to be screened for the applicant. They can see their cosign fee after approval and choose to move in from there. And then on support and marketing, we're not just handing you the keys of the car and saying good luck. We have a full support team just for you and your applicants. They're all real people. They're all bilingual in Spanish and English, and something that we are extremely proud of. And I know it might not sound that profound or like really move the needle saying this out loud, but we have a 15-minute response time, an average response time, which we are extremely proud of. I'm sure you guys have used products out there where they outsource their support to AI. And it's just, yeah, I think that's extremely important. It's to have real people helping. And then on the marketing side of things, we provide digital and physical. That's a tongue twister there. Literature, marketing materials that are all in English and Spanish as well. And then last, before we hop into the portal, and I can give you a quick overview of that. Getting set up with us is very easy. It takes about less than an hour. You're essentially just sending an Excel sheet with your property information. You select coverage options at the property level. You select your income to rent ratio that you'd like, and then you just sign a participation agreement. We do a 15-minute site team training so they know how to refer applicants and submit claims. But yeah, that's most of it. Or there was a couple more things that I want to mention before we jumped in. I think it's important to note that owners and operators are in full control on who gets sent over to Cosign. So we are only seeing folks you're sending over. There is no cost to be screened. The applicant can see their fee and decide to move in from there. Literally nothing changes on your end. Applicants move in the same way. They pay rent the same way. They get their keys the same way. They get evicted the same way. We're really just in an added layer to convert more applicants. But that's all I got for the slideshow. I'll jump in real quick. We'll go over, probably take a few minutes to go over what it looks like in the portal. And then I'll open it up for any questions. And let's see, this is my staging environment, so might have got kicked out already. Cool. Boom. Okay, cool. So this is what it would look. This is right now current state. Future state, we're going to roll out integrations with all major PMS systems. We're actually rolling out one with one of the big threes next month. But right now it's a standalone portal. And this is what it would look like when your team logs in. So you can get a quick lay of the land from the portfolio on, how many applicants you sent over, how many approvals from those applicants sent over are. You can see the monthly rent we've brought in, any default claims. But let's say, hey, you have someone walk through the door today and they're denied with you guys, and you want to send them over to Cosign. Click this button, all the action happens in the right corner. And essentially this flow takes 60 seconds of your team's time. They just pick a property, monthly base rent, fill in what you guys consider monthly gross income is what we consider it. First, middle, last name, email, number, were they denied? Maybe they were approved with conditions. Reason for referring, maybe it's thin credit, maybe it's thin income, maybe it's both. Lease date, start date, you click submit. That applicant will instantaneously receive email to sign up. From there, we'll approve or deny them within a couple minutes. All they need is a first, middle, last name, email, and then either a social security number or an ITIN number. And then once they're approved, your team will be BCC'd on that approval letter that they can throw into their PMS system to override the denial. And then one last thing, I guess, to go over is filing claims. So we have paid 100% claims to date. The only reason why we deny a claim is for fraud on the operator's end, which Not saying any of you guys would ever do that, but that's the only reason why we would deny one, or for normal wear and tear. But essentially, let's take Georgine as an example, since she's an approved applicant. Say Georgine, she skipped, maybe she defaulted, got evicted, and we need to get made whole again. So before I kind of jump into this too, I think it's important to note that as soon as you guys get the unit back, we're going to pay you guys ACH straight to your property's operating bank account within 5 business days. And we're going to cover any unpaid rent, any lost rent, any damages, any legal fees, and time to relet the unit. And this is how you do it. So you just pick a reason. Let's just say she was evicted. When did they stop making payments? When did they get that unit back? And then you're just dragging and dropping stuff that should be in your PMS system today. So resident ledger or lease agreement, resident ledger, documentation of action, any verifying income documents, damages, legal. You click submit. You'll hear back with us within 24 hours, and in 5 business days, you'll be made whole again. Julie, don't hate me. That's all I got.
No, that's
It's
awesome.
supposed to be 45 minutes, but
Oh, I love
that's
it.
all. I didn't want to overcomplicate it, or just speak out of turn. So yeah, I'll open
Okay.
it up if anyone has any questions.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep. Let's unshare that, and then let's go. I do have some questions. So recently we had lease lock come in.
Mhm.
There's been questions. How is this different from lease lock? How is it different from obligo? How is it different from leap?
Yeah, so I think a lot of people we were for denied applicants. So we don't touch approved applicants. We work in lieu of a security deposit since we cover damages. So we're more for your denied applicants, not your approved applicants, I would say.
So you get that. So you could work hand in hand with lease lock at the same transaction. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm from my knowledge, yeah, I've never used lease lock, so I'm not positive, but if that's from my understanding, yes. Like
Okay.
obligo, absolutely. Did I lose you there, Julie?
No, you're kind of breaking up, but I heard you. Okay. So that does uh, the competition on lease lock. Do you have a breakdown on like comparisons of leap or obligo where you guys are doing something a little bit different, like comparatively per?
Yeah, we're completely different. So those would be like security
Okay.
deposit alternatives for your approved applicants. We're on the other end of things. We're specifically working with your conditionally approved or your denied applicants. So yeah, to your point, you could use both for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in that, do you have any competitors to
Yes.
Cosign?
Absolutely. So the guarantors is one of our competitors, and then we have one app. So the guarantors, to give you some context there, how it got created, it was essentially a very wealthy immigrant who came to live in New York to rent. He had millions of dollars, but couldn't rent because he didn't have a credit score. Thus, they were created. So they're backed by insurance just like us. But the main difference there is they underwrite off credit score. So, as opposed to recent payment behavior. So, and they also have a credit score cutoff, which is 525. So we're basically half the price for the same coverage when we get more approvals and more conversions at a lower price point than them. So they work really, really well for like your A-class buildings. Like it's pretty easy to underwrite applicants that swipe their Amex card 50 times a week. But for the everyday American renter, that's kind of where we come into play. And then on the other end, you have one app who great at what they do, but they're not backed by insurance. So you're relying. If you have operators tend to get really uncomfortable when you have 6 to 8% of your rent roll tied up with a provider that you're relying on their balance sheet to remain liquidity. And we're also about half the price as well for the same amount of coverage. And that all happens because of our dynamic risk model, because we underwrite based off recent payment behavior as opposed to just credit score. So we're getting that deeper look essentially. But yeah, I guess that would be like we kind of fall in the middle of there.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
we have guardrails. We're backed by insurance, but our secret sauce and the way we're able to approve more folks at a lower price point is it comes down to how we underwrite, and we provide a rent guarantee, not a bond. Hopefully
Oh,
that's
got it.
helpful.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, that is. So that payment
Mhm.
is it's collected at the time, or is it in the rent once
No,
you how does
it's
that work?
prior to move-in. So like they would send them to Cosign, they'd be approved by us, and then they have to pay that one-time upfront fee in full before they move in and get their keys and everything.
Okay. Great. All right. Um, what does
I think
cosign
Paula's had
require
her hand
for?
up for a long time. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, Paula, I
Oh,
did
sorry.
see you.
I'm
It's
sorry. My
okay. It's
bad, Julie.
okay. I have a couple questions. So I want to make sure I'm understanding this business model.
Yeah,
The payment is paid up front by the applicant in toto, and the operators and property managers do not have any type of fee to pay you up front for having for being able to provide your service to its potential tenants. Is that correct?
correct. Completely free, and
Okay.
then we actually do a 10% rev share on top of that. So we're actually
Your
sending
rev
money.
share. Good, good. So what happens if your applicant can't pay that much money up front? So remember, there's a security deposit, the rent, and they're trying to get established, et cetera, pay for, the last apartment, et cetera, maybe not got their deposit back, if at all.
Mhm.
And if they can't afford to pay, say, $700-800 to you up front, do you have any type of payment plan for them in order to still get in with your program? How does that work? Or does it?
No, no payment plan. And just like as a reminder, so and I might have misheard how you said this, but we work in lieu of a security
In lieu of
deposit.
it.
So it's not
Okay. All right. So that's a good
charged
thing.
on top
But what if they still can't pay?
of
Do you
that
have
fee
any
for the
payment
security
plan for them?
deposit. It is a one-time upfront. Yes, and co-sign upfront fee in multiple installments leading up to it, but they cannot, like, in order for them to move in with cosign, it has to be paid of the full thing.
Yeah.
So like, I guess, I mean, I wouldn't recommend holding a unit for that long for someone, but like, the application stays open for 45 days. If it closes, they can just get rescreened again for free. But that's I guess what could be helpful, I guess, in the situation that you're asking potentially. And
Well, that's
the
a
reason why
great
we do
service.
that, yeah, the reason why we do that and don't have it as a subscription is because it's a sunk cost effect, right? So like if you're paying all this money all up front, it's a more likely that you're not going to default.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a great question. I hope that I answer that directly.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Zach, if somebody wanted to have a further, deeper, longer conversation,
Mhm.
what would
Yep.
how would they reach out to you?
Uh, just hit
It,
me.
is it just
I'll put
me, or is
my
his
email in
it's
here.
you,
Just hit me
Zach?
up
You're
on LinkedIn or my email. Absolutely. Here we go.
okay, there it is.
Oh no.
Zach.Branson at rentwithcosign.com. So that's how you get a hold of this
Mhm.
special guy, Zach Branson at Cosign, or at LinkedIn, or on Facebook, maybe Facebook. Also, cell phone.
Maybe.
Do
Yeah,
not
go.
send crazy texts. But his cell phone is 925 306
Hey, I've
7170. What'd you say, Zach?
in a previous life, I said before I came here, I used to work at a place called Flexible Rent, which I would highly recommend you guys checking out as well. But there'd be a lot of times where site teams would give my number to residents. So I'm sure anything that you guys would send me would not be as bad as that. So
Well, the secret is we have had Flex here before. It's time for us to get them back, probably.
yes.
But hey, listen, this has been super helpful. And in a time where we are struggling with occupancy, we're struggling with bad debt, we're doing concessions. This is a way to boost that occupancy up with very little concern because they're backed by the insurance company. So I like this option. I think it's really a viable solution for a lot of the operators. And listen, if you don't have something today, that's okay. Keep this in your back pocket for when you do have. I do have a question. How big does your portfolio need to be in order to utilize this?
We can
One.
have one unit. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love that.
we don't discriminate against units. Like as many as you all the way up for your Gray Stars, your Cushman Wakefields, all the way down to your mom and pops. Yeah.
Brian, what do you think about that?
Well, I like it. I did have a question. You said that the cosign fee could range from anywhere from 40% to 110%. What are those things that you're looking at that, are increasing the risk, increasing the premium?
Great question. So we're looking back three to 4 years of their recent payment behavior. So we are looking at their credit score. We're looking at what open lines of trade they have they been paying their bills back? Most importantly, have they been paying their rent? So maybe someone that doesn't have the decent credit score, but has paid all their bills back. They've they've had good recent payment behavior. They'd be closer to the 40%. Someone that on the higher end, maybe they have good recent payment behavior, but maybe they have a jacked up credit score. Maybe 3-4 years ago they missed a bill and their credit score tanked. So on paper they don't look great, but when you dig into it, they're quality residents. Does that make sense, or did I dance around?
Yeah, well, sure. That speaks to the credit risk or the financial risk, but prior evictions, the landlord tenant actions that were taken against them that led to those evictions, property damage.
So we do have some exclusions. I don't know if you caught that when I had said that previously, but
I missed it.
Okay. Yeah, so we don't work with anyone in active bankruptcy, anyone with more than one eviction in the past 3 years,
Okay.
or anyone that can't pass a criminal screen. So you can folks off the table. We're not just letting in bad apples. We have guardrails.
Okay.
Essentially, that's, I guess, if you will. Yeah. Does that help answer your question, Brian? Or no?
Yeah, no, that helps. That was it. I was trying to figure out what risks you were evaluating and which ones you were eliminating.
Yeah, and if you're curious, offline after we get off, I can ask and see what those specifics are that goes into our dynamic risk model, from a more granular level, if you're interested in it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Zach Branson with Cosign. Appreciate it.